April 3rd, 2024, a 7.4 magnitude earthquake hits Taiwan. The world's financial markets don't flinch. They hold their breath because somewhere under that island, inside buildings engineered to survive exactly this, the machines keep running. The machines always keep running. That's not luck. That's the plan. Here's what they don't put in the geopolitics textbooks. Taiwan built the most effective deterrent in modern history. Not a nuclear bomb, not a navy, a semiconductor factory. The logic is almost elegant. If you make yourself impossible to replace, you become impossible to attack. And TSMC didn't just make Taiwan impossible to replace. They made Taiwan the answer to a question every government on Earth was asking. Where do chips come from? The answer, for 92% of the world's most advanced semiconductors, is a small island that China claims as its own territory. That's not a supply chain. That's a hostage situation. And everyone is holding the gun. 1987, Hsinchu Science Park, Taiwan. Morris Chang is 56 years old, which in the technology industry makes him roughly a historical artifact. He spent 25 years at Texas Instruments, ran it, left it, and then the Taiwanese government handed him $100 million and said, do something. What he did changed everything. Here's what everyone else in the semiconductor business was doing in 1987. They were designing chips and making chips in the same building with the same people on the same budget. Integrated device manufacturers, they were called. The whole package. Morris Chang looked at that model and saw the inefficiency. What if you only made the chips? What if you made them for everyone? What if every chip designer on Earth, every startup, every company that had an idea but not a factory could just call you? He called it the foundry model. It sounds simple. It was revolutionary. It meant that any company with a design and a purchase order suddenly had access to the best manufacturing on Earth. Fabless chip companies exploded. NVIDIA, Qualcomm, Apple's Silicon division. None of them own a factory. All of them called TSMC. By the time anyone realized what had happened, Taiwan wasn't just in the supply chain. Taiwan was the supply chain. And Morris Chang, the 56-year-old artifact, had built a dependency so deep, it would take the United States government 35 years and $52 billion to even begin addressing it. One man, one insight, one island, the most powerful leverage play in economic history. And he did it without a single aircraft carrier. Now, about that leverage. "2020, United States government decides Huawei is a national security threat. Reasonable people can disagree about the merits. What is not debatable is what happened next. Washington made one call. Not to Huawei, to TSMC. And TSMC, because it uses American software and American equipment in its manufacturing process, had no choice. They stopped taking Huawei's orders. Huawei's most advanced chip division effectively ceased to exist. Not because of a military operation, not because of sanctions that took years to bite, because of one phone call to a factory in Taiwan. That's the Silicon Shield working in real time. Then COVID. 2021. The world's auto industry grinds to a halt, not because of a shortage of steel, not because of a shortage of rubber, because of a shortage of chips. $8 chips, $20 chips. Chips so cheap and so essential that Ford and BMW and General Motors had to shut down assembly lines. The most powerful military in human history was waiting in line behind teenagers trying to buy a PlayStation 5. Ford lost $10 billion in profit that year. $10 billion, because Taiwan got backed up. The US military started having trouble sourcing components for weapon systems. Guided missiles, fighter jets, submarines, waiting in line with the PlayStation 5 kids. And then the earthquake hit. April 3rd, 2024, 7.4. The kind of earthquake that should have caused a global financial crisis. Markets held their breath. And then TSMC said, we're fine, minimal damage, operations continuing. The markets exhaled. Think about that. The stability of the global economy now depends on the structural integrity of buildings on a seismically active island. And somehow that's considered an acceptable arrangement by everyone involved. It worked. The shield held. Which is when Washington started to panic. Because here's the thing nobody says out loud. The Silicon Shield works too well. August 9th, 2022. Joe Biden signs the CHIPS and Science Act. $52 billion, the single largest industrial policy investment in American history since the space race. The official language, ensuring American competitiveness and security in semiconductor manufacturing. The translation: we just figured out we can't fight a war if Taiwan goes down, and we'd like to fix that before we have to find out the hard way. TSMC, because Arizona offered land and subsidies and the full diplomatic weight of the United States government, agreed to build a fab in Phoenix, $65 billion, the largest foreign direct investment in American history. There were delays, cultural clashes, TSMC engineers from Taiwan arriving in Arizona and discovering that American construction workers have, let's say, a different relationship with deadlines. TSMC reportedly had to import Taiwanese workers to get the thing built on schedule. The EU followed, Japan followed. Intel got $30 billion in grants to rebuild American manufacturing capacity it spent 20 years dismantling. Everyone is spending enormous amounts of money to make Taiwan replaceable. Taiwan's allies are building the exit ramp from Taiwan. This is the paradox, and it's the part nobody in the official conversations wants to examine too closely. The Silicon Shield was never an accident. Taiwan understood exactly what it was doing. Make yourself so essential that attacking you is economically suicidal. It worked. It worked on China. It worked on everyone. But a shield that works by making yourself indispensable only works as long as you're indispensable. The moment the fabs in Arizona and Osaka and Dresden come online at scale, Taiwan's leverage changes. The hostage situation has a negotiated exit, and the negotiators are the same governments that spent 30 years allowing the dependency to build in the first place. Taiwan didn't just build a shield, they built a shield whose strength was always also its weakness. Because the more essential they became, the more motivated the rest of the world became to root around them. Morris Chang knew this. He said so publicly. He called the CHIPS Act, the $52 billion rescue mission for American manufacturing, a very expensive exercise. He said it wouldn't work. He said the Americans didn't have the workforce, the ecosystem, or the patience. He may be right. He's been right before. Here's what I think. And you can disagree, but you'd be wrong. Taiwan built the cleverest trap in the history of modern statecraft. They made themselves so valuable that the world couldn't touch them. And then the world spent $150 billion figuring out how to make them less valuable. So, the Silicon Shield is real. It works. It worked. And now the people it was designed to protect Taiwan from and the people it was designed to protect Taiwan with are both, for completely different reasons, trying to build a world where it isn't necessary. China wants Taiwan without the deterrent. Washington wants security without the dependency. Taiwan is watching both of them spend hundreds of billions of dollars to solve a problem that Taiwan created on purpose, and the machines are still running. If this changed how you see the world, you know what to do. We break down the stories behind the systems that run everything. No filter, no fluff, just the part they left out. Subscribe.